I wasn't supposed to see the family group chat, but when Marcus left his iPad unlocked, I saw the message that made my hands shake. Is Marcus finally bringing his wife this year, or is he still pretending she doesn't exist? For 12 years, I thought his family didn't want me. I was wrong. They didn't even know I existed. If you've ever been hidden by someone who claimed to love you, if you've ever wondered why you weren't enough for their world, stay with me. Because what I discovered next, and what I did at his family's Thanksgiving table, changed everything. And before we begin, subscribe, because every week we tell stories of women who refuse to stay invisible. For 12 years, Marcus told me his family's Thanksgiving was complicated. You wouldn't be comfortable, babe, he'd say, kissing my forehead like I was fragile glass. They're traditional, old-fashioned, there's always tension about politics, religion, you know how New England families can be. For 12 years, I believed every word. I thought he was protecting me, shielding me from the discomfort of being the only black woman at a table full of white people who might ask invasive questions, who might make me feel small with their microaggressions disguised as curiosity, who might make both of us uncomfortable with their outdated views on interracial marriage. I was grateful for his consideration, proud even. So many black women I knew had horror stories about meeting their white partners' families. The awkward questions, the touching of hair, the "you're so articulate" comments dripping with surprise. Marcus spared me from all of that, I thought. He loved me enough to keep me separate from that world, to let me have my peace while he dealt with the complexity of his family alone. Every Thanksgiving, he'd kiss me goodbye on Wednesday evening, promise to be back by Friday, and I'd smile. I'd tell him to give his family my regards, to have a safe flight to Boston, to enjoy the time with his parents. And every Thanksgiving, I'd cook myself a small turkey breast, watch the parade on television, call my own mother in Houston, and feel a quiet kind of loneliness I told myself was normal. Necessary, even. This was marriage, I thought. This was compromise. This was love protecting itself from unnecessary friction. Until last Tuesday morning. Until the iPad he'd left on our kitchen counter lit up with a notification that shattered every lie I'd built my life around. The November sun was just beginning to break through our floor-to-ceiling windows in downtown Houston. Our penthouse apartment, paid for mostly by my salary as a senior financial consultant, glowed with that golden early light that usually made me feel blessed, grateful for the life we'd built together. I was making coffee, moving through our morning routine with the practiced ease of someone who'd done this exact choreography for over a decade. Marcus was in the shower. I could hear the water running, hear him humming that tuneless melody he always made when he was in a good mood. The sound used to make me smile, make me feel like I was doing something right, like I was contributing to his happiness. His iPad sat on the white marble counter, right where he'd left it the night before. The screen glowed. A notification banner appeared at the top. Family group chat, Jennifer Patterson. So is Marcus finally bringing his wife this year, or is he still pretending she doesn't exist? My hand froze halfway to the coffee maker. I stared at the words, read them again, then again. My brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing, pretending she doesn't exist. The iPad was unlocked. He hadn't set the passcode yet this morning. My fingers moved without conscious thought, reaching for the device, opening the messages. I shouldn't have looked. I knew that. Privacy, boundaries, trust, all those things we'd promised each other on our wedding day. But something deeper than reason was screaming at me to look. Some instinct I'd been suffocating for years suddenly clawing its way to the surface, demanding to be heard. I picked up the iPad. My hands started shaking before I'd even scrolled up to see the full conversation. The messages went back weeks, months, years, maybe. Patricia Patterson, Marcus's mother. I've stopped asking him about her. 12 years and we still haven't met this mysterious wife of his. I'm starting to think she's a figment of his imagination. David Patterson, Marcus's cousin. Maybe she really is just busy. Marcus said she travels a lot for work, right? Jennifer Patterson, Marcus's sister. Or maybe she's his side piece and Vanessa is the actual woman in his life, just saying. The coffee mug I'd been holding in my other hand slipped. It fell in slow motion, spinning through the air and shattered against our Italian tile floor. Ceramic pieces scattered like shrapnel. Hot coffee splashed against my bare feet. I didn't feel the burn, I couldn't feel anything except the ice spreading through my chest, freezing everything, numbing everything. Vanessa. Who the hell was Vanessa? My thumb scrolled frantically now. Up, back through months of family conversations I'd never known existed. And then I found the photos. Thanksgiving 2023, November. Just 1 year ago. Marcus sat at the head of a long dining table I'd never seen before. The table was covered in a cream-colored cloth, crystal glasses, china plates, candles. Behind him, I could see large windows overlooking what looked like a garden dusted with early snow. His arm was draped around a woman's shoulders. She was white, blonde hair falling in perfect waves, cream-colored sweater that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. She was laughing, her head tilted toward Marcus's shoulder, her hand resting on his chest. The kind of casual intimacy that comes from comfort, from familiarity, from time. Around them, Marcus's family smiled for the camera. His mother, Patricia, holding a wine glass. His father, Robert, carving the turkey. His sister, Jennifer, with her husband and their 2 kids. His cousin, David. Everyone looked happy, warm, together, like a family. The caption, written by Patricia, made my vision blur. So grateful Marcus finally brought someone special to share our blessings. Welcome to the family, Vanessa. Finally. That word echoed in my skull. Finally. As if they'd been waiting. As if I'd never existed. As if the 12 years Marcus and I had been married were just empty space waiting to be filled by someone else. Someone like her. I scrolled back further, my breath coming in short, sharp gasps now. Thanksgiving 2022. There she was again. Same blonde hair, different sweater, this time burgundy, same position next to Marcus, same family, same table. Thanksgiving 2021. And again, Thanksgiving 2020. Even during COVID, when the world was locked down and I'd spent the holiday completely alone because Marcus said he couldn't risk traveling, there she was, masked, sitting beside him at a smaller gathering. He'd been with her, with them, with his family, every single year, while I stayed home, while I cooked my sad little turkey breast for one, while I watched the Macy's parade alone and told myself this was what partnership looked like, what sacrifice looked like, what love looked like. The shower turned off upstairs. I heard Marcus moving around in our bedroom, his footsteps heavy on the hardwood floor. Panic shot through my numbness. I forwarded the entire group chat to my own phone. My fingers trembled so badly I almost dropped the iPad twice. Screenshots. I took screenshots of every photo, every message, every comment from his family about Marcus's girlfriend, and when's the wedding, and Vanessa fits right in. Then I carefully, deliberately, placed the iPad back exactly where Marcus had left it. By the time he came down the stairs 10 minutes later, towel wrapped around his waist, skin still damp from the shower, smelling like the expensive body wash I'd bought him for his birthday, I was standing by the window. My face was calm. My coffee cup, a replacement, hastily grabbed from the cabinet, was steady in my hands. I'd cleaned up the broken mug, wiped up the spilled coffee, erased all evidence of my discovery. Years of practice had taught me how to hide what I was feeling, how to be accommodating, how to not make waves, how to be the kind of wife who didn't ask difficult questions or create unnecessary drama. "Morning, babe," Marcus said, his voice warm and easy. He came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, kissed the side of my neck. "You okay? I thought I heard something break." His touch, which had once made me feel safe, now made my skin crawl. But I didn't pull away. Not yet. "Just dropped a mug," I said softly, keeping my voice even. "I'm fine." "You sure? You seemed tense." His hands moved to my shoulders, kneading the muscles there like he was genuinely concerned, like he genuinely cared. The performance was so convincing I almost believed it myself. "Just tired," I said. "Long week." He turned me around to face him, his dark eyes searching mine. Marcus was handsome, tall, athletic build, the kind of confident charm that had drawn me to him 13 years ago when we'd met at a business conference in Dallas. Back then, he'd seemed so genuine, so different from the other men who'd tried to impress me with money or status. He'd talked about building something real, about partnership, about being a team. I'd believed every word. You work too hard, he said now, tucking a lock behind my ear. You should take some time off. Relax. I forced a smile. The same smile I'd worn for 12 years. The smile that said I was fine, everything was fine, we were fine. Maybe after the holidays. Speaking of which, he grabbed his iPad, didn't even glance at the screen. I've got that investor meeting downtown today, probably going to run late. Don't wait up for dinner, okay? Okay. He kissed my forehead, grabbed his briefcase, adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror. Love you, babe. The words came automatically. Love you too. The door closed behind him. The sound of the lock clicking into place was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. And for the first time in 12 years, I didn't believe a single word that had just come out of my mouth. I called in sick to work. I never called in sick. In 8 years at Morrison Financial Group, I'd maybe taken 5 sick days total. I was the senior consultant everyone relied on, the one who came in early and stayed late, the one who never complained, never faltered, never failed to deliver. But today, I couldn't imagine sitting in that office. Couldn't imagine pretending to care about portfolio optimization and risk assessment when my entire life had just revealed itself to be a carefully constructed fraud. My manager, Joyce, sounded concerned. Helena, you never call in sick. Are you all right? Do you need me to send something? Soup? Medicine? Just a migraine, I lied. I'll be fine by tomorrow. Take care of yourself. And Helena, whatever you need. We've got your accounts covered. I hung up and sat at our dining table. Glass top, chrome legs, the kind of minimalist furniture Marcus had insisted on when we'd moved into this place 5 years ago. I'd wanted something warmer, wood, character, but he'd said this looked more professional, more serious. I'd agreed, like I always agreed. My laptop sat in front of me, my phone beside it. And on the screen of my phone, all those screenshots I'd taken, all that evidence of a life I'd never known existed. I opened them one by one. Marcus and Vanessa at the Thanksgiving table, Marcus and Vanessa at what looked like a 4th of July barbecue, Marcus and Vanessa at a Christmas party wearing matching ugly sweaters, Marcus and Vanessa at the beach, his arm around her waist, both of them tan and laughing. Every photo was a knife, every caption was a twist of the blade. I opened Facebook, typed in Patricia Patterson with shaking fingers. Her profile appeared immediately. Profile picture, her and Robert on what looked like a cruise ship, both holding tropical drinks. Her profile was public. I could see everything. I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. 12 years of family photos, Marcus at every holiday, every birthday, every celebration. And in the recent photos, the past 4 years, Vanessa was there too. Smiling, integrated, welcomed. In Patricia's comments section, friends congratulated them, asked about wedding dates, called Marcus and Vanessa such a beautiful couple. My hands curled into fists. I clicked on Vanessa's profile. Vanessa Whitmore, lives in Boston, Massachusetts, works at Patterson and Associates. My stomach dropped. Patterson and Associates, Marcus's father's company, the family business Marcus had joined 6 years ago, the one he'd moved us to Houston for because they were expanding to Texas and he needed to run the Southern Division. The job that required so much travel, so many trips back to Boston, so many late nights and weekend conferences, all of it funded by my income while his salary went into investments I never saw the returns on. I clicked on Vanessa's work profile. Partner, Patterson and Associates. Partner, not assistant, not associate, partner. I kept scrolling through her photos, my breath coming faster now, my vision starting to blur at the edges, and then I found it. December 18th, 2023. 3 months ago, a photo of Vanessa's left hand. A diamond ring catching the light. The caption, she said yes, can't wait to start forever with this amazing man. At Marcus Patterson. The timestamp, 7:42 p.m. I remembered that night. December 18th. Marcus had called me from the airport saying his flight was delayed. He'd sounded stressed, tired. He'd said, "Don't wait up, babe. I'll probably just crash when I get home." He'd come home at 11 p.m. I'd been asleep. The next morning he'd been cheerful, normal. He'd made pancakes. He'd proposed to another woman and then come home to me. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table, forcing air into my lungs, trying to remember how breathing worked. He was engaged. To her, while married to me. My phone was in my hand before I'd consciously decided to pick it up. My fingers found Sierra's number, my best friend since college, the only person I trusted completely. She answered on the second ring. "Helena, what's wrong? You never call during work hours." "I need you to come over." My voice didn't sound like mine. It was hollow, distant, like it was coming from underwater. "Right now, please." "I'm on my way." Sierra arrived 20 minutes later. She'd clearly run every red light between her office in Midtown and our apartment downtown. Her natural hair was pulled back in a quick bun. She was still wearing her work blazer, and the moment she saw my face, she knew. "What happened?" I handed her my phone without a word. She scrolled through the screenshots. Her expression went from confusion to shock to absolute fury in the space of 30 seconds. "That motherfucker." Her voice was low, dangerous. Sierra was a private investigator. She'd seen every kind of betrayal, every kind of deception. But this was personal. "Helena, tell me everything." I told her about the iPad, the group chat, the photos, the engagement ring. With every word, Sierra's jaw got tighter. When I finished, she set my phone down carefully on the table. Then she looked at me with the kind of focused intensity that had made her one of the best investigators in Houston. "How long have you been funding his lifestyle?" "What? His trips? His car? This apartment? How much of it is your money?" I blinked. I hadn't even thought about that yet. The betrayal had consumed everything else. But Sierra was right. I opened my laptop, logged into our joint bank account, the one I deposited my entire paycheck into every month while Marcus's salary supposedly went into business investments and savings accounts I never had access to. I pulled up 12 years of transactions, every flight to Boston, every hotel room, every rental car, every restaurant charge, my credit card, my account, my money. I scrolled further, found the charge from December 18th. Cartier, $47,000, her ring. Purchased with our joint account. I'd bought my husband's fiancée's engagement ring. The sound that came out of me wasn't quite a laugh and wasn't quite a sob. It was something in between. Something broken and sharp and wrong. Sierra came around the table, pulled me into her arms. "We're going to destroy him," she said quietly. "But first, I need you to focus. Can you do that?" I nodded against her shoulder. "Good, because I need to know everything, every transaction, every lie, every piece of evidence. We're building a case, and when we're done, Marcus Patterson is going to regret the day he ever underestimated you." It took us 6 hours. 6 hours of combing through bank statements, credit card records, phone bills, emails. 6 hours of documenting every lie, every trip, every dollar I'd spent building his double life. Sierra made spreadsheets, color-coded, cross-referenced. She was methodical, precise, clinical. By the time the sun started setting outside our windows, painting the Houston skyline in shades of orange and pink, we had everything. "Okay?" Sierra sat back, rubbing her eyes. "Here's what we know. You've funded approximately 87% of Marcus's expenses for the past 12 years. His salary has been going into accounts you don't have access to. His stake in Patterson and Associates, which he claims he earned, was purchased with a $200,000 loan from your joint savings. A loan you apparently co-signed but never actually agreed to." "What?" She turned the laptop toward me, showed me the documents. My signature, scanned, clearly forged. "That's fraud, Helena, financial fraud. And based on Texas marital property law, you're entitled to at least 60% of his business shares. More probably, given the circumstances." My head was spinning. "There's more." Sierra's voice was gentle now. Almost apologetic. "I ran a background check on Vanessa Whitmore. She's been working at Patterson and Associates for 5 years. Started as an associate, made partner 2 years ago. Her personnel file lists her emergency contact as Marcus Patterson. Her address is listed as 2847 Beacon Street, Boston. Want to know who owns that property?" I wasn't sure I did, but I nodded anyway. "Marcus. He bought it 4 years ago, with a down payment that came from your joint account." The world narrowed to a pinpoint of rage so pure I couldn't breathe around it. He'd bought her a house. With my money. While I lived in this sterile glass box I'd never wanted, in a city I'd moved to for his career, working myself to exhaustion to fund a life I wasn't even part of. I'm going to kill him. The words came out flat, emotionless. No. Sierra's hand covered mine. You're not. You're going to be smarter than that. You're going to take everything he has, legally, publicly, completely. And then you're going to build something so spectacular that every time he sees your name, he'll remember exactly what he lost. I looked at my best friend. This woman who'd known me since we were 18, who'd been my maid of honor, who'd watched me slowly disappear into this marriage and never said a word because she'd trusted me to know my own heart. I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do. Her eyes were fierce. You're Helena fucking Johnson. You graduated top of your class. You built Morrison's entire Southern Division from nothing. You're the woman every client asks for by name. You're brilliant. You're strategic. You're stronger than you've ever given yourself credit for. She stood up, started pacing. I could see her mind working. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to secure your assets, separate account, transfer half of everything. Today, before he knows you know. Second, we're going to make copies of everything, every document, every photo, every lie. Third, she turned to face me. Third, we're going to give him exactly what he wants. What does that mean? A slow smile spread across Sierra's face. It wasn't a nice smile. Thanksgiving is in 8 days. He's going to Boston, to his family, to her. So we're going to make sure you show up too. Uninvited, unexpected, undeniable. My heart started beating faster. And we're going to bring receipts. That night, Marcus came home at 9 p.m. I was in the living room, pretending to watch television. I'd showered, changed into comfortable clothes, wiped away any evidence of the day's discoveries. When he walked in, I looked up with the same mild smile I always wore. Hey, babe, how was your meeting? Exhausting. He loosened his tie, kissed the top of my head as he passed. These investors are demanding, want to see every projection, every scenario. Took hours. Lies. All of it lies. I'd checked his calendar when I'd hacked into his email earlier. There was no investor meeting today, just a video call with V. Whitmore at 2 p.m. that lasted 3 hours. Sounds stressful. It is. He collapsed onto the sofa beside me. But it'll be worth it. This deal could really set us up. Set you up. You could maybe finally cut back on work, enjoy life a little. Set me up, with money I'd earned, that he'd stolen. To build a future with someone else. That sounds nice, I said softly. He put his arm around me, pulled me against his chest. I let him, focused on breathing normally, on not screaming, on not clawing at his face until he bled the way I was bleeding inside. Speaking of which, he said, I was thinking about Thanksgiving. My entire body went rigid, but I kept my voice light. Oh? Yeah, I know I usually go to Boston, deal with the family drama alone, but I was thinking, maybe this year we could do something together, just us, go to Napa or something, nice hotel, good wine, actually relax. I turned to look at him. His face was so earnest, so genuinely hopeful. The performance was masterful. That sounds wonderful, I heard myself say. But didn't you already make plans with your family? I can cancel. They'll understand. You're more important. After 12 years of being told I couldn't come, now suddenly I was more important. I knew why. Vanessa was probably getting demanding, probably asking why he hadn't told his family they were engaged, probably pushing for him to end things with me. This was him doing damage control, buying time. Let me think about it, I said. I might actually visit my sister in Atlanta. I haven't seen her in a while. Relief flooded his face. Oh, that's a great idea, babe. You should definitely do that. Spend time with family. His family, not ours, never ours. Yeah, I said. I think I will. He kissed my forehead. Whatever makes you happy. I smiled up at him. Thank you for being so understanding. Of course, that's what marriage is about, right? Supporting each other. I nodded, and inside, I started counting down the days until Thanksgiving. Until I walked into his family's home uninvited. Until I ended his perfectly constructed double life in front of everyone he'd ever lied to. 8 days. The next morning, I went to the bank. I withdrew exactly half of our joint savings, $347,000. opened a new account at a different bank under my maiden name, transferred the money. Then I went to see a lawyer. Miguel Torres had been 2 years ahead of me at University of Texas. We'd worked together on the Business Law Journal. He was brilliant, ruthless, and owed me a favor from when I'd helped his sister restructure her finances during a nasty divorce. His office was in a renovated warehouse in East Downtown. Exposed brick, modern furniture, awards lining the walls. He looked up when his assistant showed me in, surprise crossing his face. "Helena Johnson, it's been what, 8 years?" "9. I sat down across from him, placed my folder on his desk. "I need a divorce attorney, the best, and I need to move fast." His expression shifted immediately, professional, focused. "Tell me everything." I did. By the time I finished, Miguel was leaning back in his chair, fingers steepled, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "This is one of the most clear-cut cases of financial fraud and marital deception I've seen in 15 years of practice." He leaned forward. "Helena, with the evidence you have, we can take him for everything. The business shares, the properties, alimony, damages for emotional distress and fraud, we can destroy him." "I don't want to destroy him." I met his eyes. "I want justice, I want what's mine, and I want to make sure he never does this to anyone else." "Then let's get to work." Over the next week, I became someone I didn't recognize. Focused, strategic, cold. Every morning I woke up next to Marcus and played the role of devoted wife. I made coffee, asked about his day, listened to his lies with a smile. Every day I went to work and performed at the highest level I'd ever achieved. Closed 3 major accounts, got praised by the partners, made myself invaluable. And every evening I met with Sierra and Miguel. We built my case like a military operation. Sierra tracked down property records, business filings, every document that showed where my money had gone. She found the forged loan agreement, found emails between Marcus and his father discussing how to keep Helena's contributions quiet so the family wouldn't know how much of the business was built on my money. Miguel filed preliminary paperwork, prepared injunctions, made sure that the moment I was ready to move, every asset would be frozen before Marcus could hide anything. And I planned my appearance at Thanksgiving. Not as a surprise attack, not as some dramatic confrontation meant for revenge, but as a reclamation. I was going to walk into that house as Marcus's wife, with evidence, with dignity, with the full force of 12 years of truth behind me. I bought a dress, burnt orange silk, the color of autumn leaves, the color of Thanksgiving, the color of a fire that had been smoldering for 12 years and was finally ready to burn. I had my locks styled in an elegant updo that took 3 hours. Professional, polished, powerful. I practiced my breathing, my composure, my words. Sierra helped me rehearse. "What if he tries to gaslight you?" she asked. Then I show the documents, let them speak for themselves. "What if Vanessa gets hysterical?" "That's between her and Marcus. I'm not there to fight with her. I'm there to claim my place." "What if his family doesn't believe you?" "Then I leave with my dignity intact and my evidence documented. But they'll believe me. Because unlike Marcus, I'm going to tell the truth." The night before my flight, Marcus came home with flowers. "Red roses, my favorite," he claimed, though he'd gotten the color wrong. I preferred pink. "What's the occasion?" I asked. "No occasion, just wanted to remind you how much I appreciate you. How lucky I am." He pulled me close, kissed me with what might have looked like passion to anyone watching, but I felt nothing, no spark, no warmth, just the cold calculation of a man trying to keep his lies alive. "I'm going to miss you this week," he murmured against my hair. "Me too." The lie came easily now. I'd had years of practice. "Have a great time in Atlanta. Tell your sister I said hi." "I will." That night, he fell asleep with his arm around me. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, counting the hours until I'd be free. 16 hours until my flight. 24 hours until I walked through his family's door. 24 hours until Marcus Patterson's perfectly constructed world collapsed. I smiled in the darkness. Thanksgiving morning, I landed in Boston at 9:47 a.m. The air was sharp and cold, so different from Houston's mild autumn. I could see my breath. The sky was low and gray, threatening snow. I rented a car, checked into a hotel near Beacon Hill, changed into my burnt orange dress. In the bathroom mirror, I barely recognized myself. Not because I looked different, but because I looked awake, alert, present. For 12 years, I'd been sleepwalking through my own life, accepting, accommodating, diminishing myself to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold me, not anymore. I drove to the Patterson family home at 2 p.m. The address was exactly as it had appeared in the photos, a brick townhouse with ivy climbing the walls, black shutters, a wreath on the door, old money, old Boston, the kind of elegance that came from generations of accumulated wealth my money had helped preserve. Cars lined the circular driveway. I recognized Marcus's black Audi, a silver Mercedes that probably belonged to his parents, a white Range Rover. I parked on the street, grabbed my leather portfolio. Inside, copies of everything: marriage certificate, joint tax returns, property deeds, bank statements, the forged loan documents, every lie, documented and organized. My hands were steady as I walked up the brick pathway, my heart beat calm and sure. I rang the doorbell. Through the frosted glass, I could see movement, laughter, the warm glow of a family gathering I'd been excluded from for 12 years. Footsteps approached. The door opened. A woman stood there, blonde, pretty, cream-colored sweater. The smile on her face was welcoming, hostess warm, completely unsuspecting. Vanessa. "Hi," she said brightly. "Can I help you? Are you looking for someone?" I met her eyes, kept my voice calm, clear, kind even. "I'm here for Thanksgiving. I'm Helena Johnson, Marcus's wife." The smile froze on her face. Behind her, conversation in the dining room faltered, voices lowered. Someone asked, "Who's at the door?" Vanessa's mouth opened, closed, opened again. No sound came out. Footsteps, fast, urgent. Then Marcus appeared in the hallway behind her, wine glass in hand, and the moment he saw me, the glass slipped from his fingers. It shattered against the hardwood floor. Red wine spread like blood across the expensive rug. "Helena!" My name came out strangled, panicked. "What are you doing here?" I didn't answer him. I looked past him to the family gathered in the dining room beyond, to Patricia, who stood frozen with a serving platter in her hands, to Robert, who'd half risen from his seat at the head of the table, to Jennifer, whose eyes were wide with shock. "Mrs. Patterson," I said, my voice steady and clear. "Thank you for having me. I'm sorry to arrive unannounced." Patricia moved forward slowly, setting down the platter. Her eyes moved from me to Marcus to Vanessa, confusion and something else, something like dread, crossing her face. "I'm sorry," she said carefully. I don't understand. Marcus, what's going on?" "This is—" Marcus swallowed hard. His face had gone pale. "This is a misunderstanding. Helena, we need to talk. Outside. Privately." "No." The word was quiet, but absolute. "We're not doing this privately anymore. You've had 12 years of privacy, of secrets, of lies. Not today." I stepped past Vanessa into the house. She moved aside automatically, still too shocked to process what was happening. The foyer was beautiful. Crown molding, antique furniture, family photos lining the walls. I could smell turkey and stuffing, cinnamon and apple pie. All the warmth of a family holiday I'd imagined but never experienced. Patricia came closer, her eyes searching my face. "I'm sorry, who did you say you were?" I opened my portfolio, pulled out the first document. Our marriage certificate, held it out to her. "My name is Helena Johnson. I'm Marcus's wife. We've been married for 12 years, 2 months, and 17 days. The silence that fell was absolute. Robert stood from the table, walked over to take the document from my hands. He read it slowly, his expression darkening with every line. "This is dated 2013, he said, his voice low and dangerous. He looked at his son. "You've been married since 2013? Marcus's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. Patricia took the certificate from her husband, read it herself. Her hands started shaking. 12 years, she whispered. "You've been married for 12 years and you never told us? Never brought her to meet us?" "I can explain," Marcus started. Can you? I pulled out more documents. Tax returns. Can you explain why we filed jointly every year? Why my name is on every property you own? Why my income has funded 87% of your expenses for over a decade? I laid the papers on the console table one by one, each one a nail in the coffin of his lies. Bank statements showing my deposits, his withdrawals, transfers to Vanessa's account, the $47,000 charge for her ring, the forged loan document for his business stake, property records for the Beacon Street address, the one he'd bought for Vanessa with my money. Jennifer had come to stand beside her mother. She picked up the bank statement, her eyes scanning the numbers. Marcus, she breathed, you bought Vanessa's ring with Helena's money? Vanessa, who'd been standing in frozen silence this whole time, made a small, broken sound. You're married? Her voice cracked. You told me you were single. You told me... She looked at the ring on her finger like it was burning her. You said you'd been saving for this for years. Vanessa, please. Don't! Patricia's voice cut through the room like ice. Don't you dare speak to her before you speak to your wife. She turned to me, and I saw tears in her eyes. Helena, I am so deeply sorry. We had no idea. Marcus told us. Her voice broke. He told us you were always too busy, that you traveled for work, that family gatherings weren't your thing. We should have questioned it, should have insisted on meeting you. This is... She pressed her hand to her mouth. This is unforgivable. He told you I was too busy? I kept my voice even. Or did he tell you I didn't exist? Patricia's face crumpled. Robert was reading through the financial documents now, his jaw getting tighter with every page. Son, he said, the word sharp as a blade. You took $200,000 from your wife's savings to buy into my company, without her knowledge. It was our money that you forged her signature to access. Robert held up the loan document. This is fraud, Marcus, financial fraud, against your own wife. The whole family had gathered now, Jennifer's husband, the cousins, everyone staring at Marcus like they'd never seen him before, like the man they thought they knew had just revealed himself to be a stranger. David, the cousin who'd defended Marcus in the group chat, looked sick. All those years, all those times you said she was too busy to come, you were just hiding her. Why? Jennifer's voice was raw. Why would you do this? Why would you hide your wife and bring Vanessa to us like she was... She looked at Vanessa. I'm so sorry, we had no idea. Vanessa was crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. She pulled the ring off her finger, held it out to Marcus with a shaking hand. Take it. I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything that was built on lies. Vanessa, please, I love you. You're married! She threw the ring at him. It bounced off his chest, fell to the floor, rolled under the antique sideboard. You proposed to me while you were married to someone else. That's not love, that's... She couldn't finish. She turned to me instead. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. I believed her. I could see it in her eyes. She was a victim too. Different kind of victim maybe, but still someone Marcus had used and deceived. I know, I said quietly. Patricia moved to stand in front of Marcus, her son, the child she'd raised. And I watched her heart break in real time. Get out, she said. Mom, get out of my house. Please, just let me explain. Explain what? Her voice rose, cracking with anger and pain. Explain how you've been living a double life? How you used that woman's money to fund your lies? How you made us all complicit in your betrayal? She was shaking now. You brought Vanessa into our family, made us love her, made her believe she was going to be our daughter-in-law, while your actual wife sat home alone every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every holiday. She pointed to the door. Get out. Marcus looked around the room desperately, at his father's disgusted face, at his sister's tears, at Vanessa's broken expression, at the cousins and extended family who'd witnessed his exposure. Then he looked at me. I met his gaze and didn't look away, didn't blink, didn't break. Helena, please. I can explain everything. Just give me a chance to... No. The word was soft but final. You had 12 years of chances, Marcus. 12 years to tell the truth, to choose me, to treat me like I mattered. You chose this instead. I love you. You don't even know what love is." The truth of it hung in the air between us. His face crumpled. For a moment, he looked like he might cry, might fall to his knees and beg, but even now, even caught in the wreckage of his own lies, his pride wouldn't let him. He straightened, smoothed his shirt, tried to gather some dignity. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," I replied calmly, "it is." He walked to the door, grabbed his coat from the rack, and without looking back at any of us, not his family, not Vanessa, not me, he left. The door closed behind him with a quiet click. And then Patricia turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Helena, please, please don't leave. Your family. He's not welcome here anymore, but you are. You always should have been." I stayed. I stayed for Thanksgiving dinner at a table where I should have sat 12 years ago. Patricia served me first, her hands still trembling slightly. Robert poured me wine. Jennifer's children, confused by the adult drama but sensing the shift, asked me questions about Houston and what I did for work. I told them, answered honestly, let them see me. For the first time in 12 years, I wasn't hidden, wasn't erased, wasn't a secret to be kept or a complication to be avoided. I was present, visible, real. Over turkey and stuffing, I learned about Marcus's family. The real version, not the fantasy he'd constructed. They were funny, warm, flawed. They asked about my childhood, my work, my dreams. They listened, actually listened. Jennifer told me about her kids' school. Robert talked about the business, asked my opinion on expansion strategies. Patricia shared family stories, seemed genuinely interested in learning about mine. "Why did he hide you?" Jennifer asked quietly, when the kids had run off to play. "Was it because—" She hesitated. "Because you're black?" I'd been waiting for someone to ask, to acknowledge the elephant in the room. "Maybe partially," I said honestly. "But I think it was more than that. I think Marcus wanted to keep his worlds separate. Professional Helena, who funded his dreams, Boston Helena, who fit the image he wanted to project. He couldn't reconcile them, so he just chose to erase one." "That's not love," Patricia said firmly. "That's cowardice." Later, after dinner, Patricia pulled me aside. "Helena, I know this doesn't fix anything. I know we failed you by not questioning why we'd never met you, but I want you to know." Her voice caught. "You have us now. Whatever you need, legal support, financial, emotional, we're here." "Why?" I asked. "I'm divorcing your son." "Because you're right to," she said without hesitation. "And because the woman who had the courage to show up here today with evidence and dignity to face all of us, that's someone I want in my life. Family isn't always blood, Helena. Sometimes it's choice, and I choose you." I left Boston the next day with something I'd never expected. A family who saw me, who valued me, who chose me even when it meant standing against their own son, and a plan to reclaim everything else Marcus had taken. The divorce took 4 months. Miguel was ruthless. Sierra's evidence was flawless. And Patricia's testimony about Marcus's pattern of deception, about his exploitation of our finances, helped establish fraud. Marcus tried to fight it, hired an expensive attorney, tried to claim I was bitter, vindictive, that I'd manipulated his family against him. But the documents didn't lie. The bank records didn't lie. His own family's testimony didn't lie. The judge wasn't sympathetic. In the end, I walked away with 65% of his business shares in Patterson and Associates, the house in Houston, half of all other marital assets, and compensation for the financial fraud and emotional damages. Robert, Marcus's own father, had sided with me. Had the company's board vote Marcus out as partner. "You don't get to build an empire on someone else's sacrifice and then act like you did it alone," Robert had told him in the courtroom. Vanessa had left Boston, moved back to Vermont, sent me a letter apologizing for her unwitting part in the deception. I wrote back, told her she owed me no apology, that we'd both been victims of the same man's selfishness. Marcus tried to reach out, texts, emails, voicemails. "Helena, please, I know I don't deserve it, but I'm sorry. I was a coward. You deserved so much better. Can we talk?" I never responded, not out of anger, not even out of pain anymore, but because his apology wasn't mine to carry, his guilt wasn't mine to absolve. I'd spent 12 years carrying his lies, his shame, his carefully constructed double life. I was done carrying anything that wasn't mine. 6 months after Thanksgiving, I stood in front of a new building in downtown Houston. The sign above the door read, Johnson Financial Consulting, my name, my business, built with my settlement, my expertise, my vision. Inside, the office was bright and open. Nothing like the sterile penthouse I'd shared with Marcus. This place had warmth, character, plants in the windows, art on the walls chosen by me. Sierra had left her PI firm to join me as COO. We'd hired a team of 5 associates, all women, all brilliant, all overlooked or underestimated by their previous employers. We specialized in financial independence consulting, helping women understand their worth, disentangle their finances from controlling partners, see clearly what they'd built and what they deserved. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Ready for the ribbon cutting?" Sierra asked, handing me scissors. A small crowd had gathered outside. Clients we'd already started working with, friends, colleagues from Morrison who'd supported me through the divorce, and Patricia, Robert, and Jennifer, who'd driven down from Boston for the opening. I cut the ribbon. Cameras flashed, people applauded. Patricia hugged me tight. "I'm so proud of you." That night, local news ran a story about the opening. By morning, my phone was flooded with consultation requests. Women who'd been hidden, diminished, financially controlled, women who were ready to be seen. 1 year after that Thanksgiving, I stood in front of a conference room full of women. The Visible Woman Initiative had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. We'd helped 127 women leave toxic marriages, helped 89 start businesses, provided legal support, financial consulting, emotional resources. The woman at the front raised her hand, young, black, wearing professional clothes that looked new, trying so hard to be brave. "How did you know when it was time to stop fighting for the marriage and start fighting for yourself?" she asked. I thought about that morning, the shattered coffee mug, the iPad glowing on the counter, the moment my perfectly constructed illusion cracked open. "When I realized," I said slowly, "that I'd spent 12 years making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. When I understood that love doesn't ask you to disappear, that partnership doesn't require one person to be invisible." The room was silent, 50 women watching me, some crying quietly, some nodding, all of them understanding. For years, I thought I was being patient, understanding, supportive, a good wife, but I was really just allowing someone to erase me, letting him fund a whole life I wasn't part of while I paid the bills. And the moment I saw proof of that, proof that he'd been living fully while I waited in the shadows, I knew. I paused, making eye contact with women around the room. I knew I deserved to be seen, not hidden, not a secret, not an inconvenience. Seen, valued, present, and if he couldn't see me, then he didn't deserve to have me. The applause started soft, then built. After the event, the young woman who'd asked the question approached me. She was crying. "My boyfriend hasn't introduced me to his family in 4 years, she whispered. "He says they're complicated, that they wouldn't understand our relationship, but I just realized..." Her voice broke. "He's ashamed of me." I took her hands in mine. "Then he doesn't deserve you. And you deserve to be with someone who's proud to have you in every part of their life." She nodded, tears falling freely. I gave her my card. "Call me Monday. We'll figure this out together." She left with something in her eyes I recognized. The beginning of clarity, of awakening, of choosing herself. Late that night, I stood in my apartment. Not the penthouse I'd shared with Marcus. A smaller place in Montrose with hardwood floors and big windows. Plants everywhere, books stacked on tables. My grandmother's quilt on the sofa. A space that was entirely, completely mine. The lights of Houston spread out before me. Each one a possibility I'd been too afraid to reach for when I was busy waiting for permission to exist. My phone buzzed. Patricia sending photos from this year's Thanksgiving. They'd invited me again. This time I'd gone without hesitation. In the photo, I sat at the head of the table, Patricia's grandchildren on either side of me. Jennifer making a toast, Robert carving the turkey. Family, real family, the kind that sees you and celebrates you and makes space for all of who you are. I set the phone down and looked at my reflection in the window. "They tried to hide you," I whispered. "But a woman's light can't be hidden forever. If you've ever been made to feel invisible, this story is yours. If you've ever loved someone who erased you, this is your reminder that you deserve to be seen. And if you're sitting alone right now, wondering if you'll ever be enough, let me tell you what I learned. You were always enough. It was never about you. It was about someone too small to hold all of you, someone too insecure to let you shine, someone who needed you diminished so they could feel important. But you don't have to stay small for anyone. You don't have to hide your light. You don't have to wait for permission to take up space in your own life." I turned from the window, my laptop open on the table. Calendar full of consultations, speaking engagements, plans. A life I'd built from the ruins of someone else's lies. A life that was entirely, powerfully, authentically mine. "Let's get back to work," I said to the empty room. Because there were more women to help, more stories to share, more lives to rebuild, and this time every single one of us would be visible. Subscribe because every week we tell stories of women who refused to stay hidden, women who chose themselves, women who learned that the most powerful thing you can do is show up for your own life. Even when someone spent years trying to convince you that you didn't deserve to be there. Especially then, because you do deserve it, you always did.